Hey there, it's a Dad Who Games. Allow me to introduce you to Wheeljack, Sideswipe, Bluestreak, Mirage, Trailbreaker. These are my G1 Autobot reboots from the War for Cybertron line of Transformers. Hey, welcome back! These are the toys that brought Transformers back into my life. Incredibly cool modern incarnations of their vehicle forms, and cartoon-accurate robots. A clever marketing campaign to fist bump those of us that religiously watched Transformers whenever it was on. Well, it worked. And that's why I call this part 1. My goal from the beginning has been to collect each War for Cybertron versions of the original toys that I have. It started out with these 5, but I have 5 other G1s that still need their updo counterparts. And I might get around to gathering some Decepticons for my Autobots to pummel. It brings me much pleasure to know that my decision to switch over to Transformers content has been one of the best decisions I've made. Yeah, I'll get around to playing video games again, but for now, this is my density. I mean, making Transformers content kind of means, I don't know, that I get to get more Transformers to show to you. That's where your subscriptions really count. So please, subscribe. Okay, let's get on with it. When I first found Wheeljack in the toy section of our local superstore, I have been floored at how cool the toy was. Not only did this sweet car transform into the Wheeljack I remember from the cartoon, he also was fully posable. They really have come a long way. And it's clear that Hasbro knew exactly what we wanted. I mean, he has legs. Well, they all do. No more legs locked together with merely a split down the middle. And while Wheeljack of the 80s had some pretty movable arms, the full range of movement with these toys is simply insane. Wheeljack has the simplest transformation of my collection, and if my keen eye is correct, it's the same general construction as Sunstreaker. Don't worry, he's on my list, so I'll know for sure soon. But even in its simplicity, I still ended up having the feet come off. I was horrified when it happened, but to my surprise and relief, the pieces go back together perfectly. They can take it. And let me tell you, I've tested this. There's just this calming pleasure of transforming these toys. They're like the coolest fidget toys I've ever seen. And while I've transformed them numerous times, they don't wear out. It's always a perfect fit for all of the parts. It's like those oddly satisfying videos you'll find of symmetry in the wild. While Wheeljack is not my favorite of the cartoon Autobots, this incarnation of him really brought him up to the front of the line. Granted, there is one minor caveat. While he is fully posable, the bulkiness of his legs yields some limitations with action-oriented poses. But I guess it makes sense. Wheeljack, from the nebulous memories of my childhood mind, usually stayed to the back in battles. Wasn't he more of a strategist who'd stick with Prime? Oh well, maybe I need to watch them again. Maybe make a react video to see if the old cartoon is still as awesome as I remember. One step at a time, Greg. While I know that these vehicle versions are what they would have looked like on Cybertron, the design for Sideswipe, in my opinion, is pretty weak. But unlike the Michael Bay movies and their GMC pact, having these be Cybertronian eliminated the need to make the vehicles based on specific earthly cars and trucks. Granted, I still don't know why they ever had to transform on their own planet. Did they expect people? But when he transforms, all I get is 100% classic Sideswipe vibes. Actually, it was with Sideswipe, comparing him to my pre-restored G1 Lambo, that I realized that the only real difference between the toys and the cartoon counterparts was that the toys had all of these decals and just had no relevance and could have easily been left out. But that led to my removing them all and creating the project you can find in my previous videos. I was so afraid of breaking this Sideswipe when I removed him from the box. He's my all-time favorite Transformer, and I wasn't about to break him. Transforming the legs for the first time caused me much anxiety, See, because they're so posable, the feet move easily. I kept thinking I was somehow breaking it. Don't worry, I've since gotten over my fear. These things are meant to be transformed. In robot form, I really appreciate how the non-Lambo Cybertronian car still ends up looking exactly like the Sideswipe as I remember him. It's a truth with each of the toys from the War of Cybertron line. I'll be honest, while the black cannon mounted to the shoulder kept him classic, the little red missile, while being effective as an arm blade, didn't really match the original. I really wanted a gun for him, but that posability, so friggin' cool. While Sideswipe is my favorite Transformer, Bluestreak is my favorite Transformer toy. The level of posability with him is insane. You can move his legs the most out of my collection, all packed into this sweet Nissan Z, aka Datsun styled ride. Just look at it. I'd love to have this as a real car. Getting his dynamic legs folded into vehicle form did take a few tries and rereadings of the instructions. But once I got it, this became one of the best designed of the Autobots I have. Bluestreak legitimately doesn't seem like he'd be able to fit into the vehicle mode, but somehow he does. He's like one of the Michael Bay bots in how their robot forms seem considerably larger than the vehicles they could change into. But I'm still just bitter that Bluestreak hasn't been in any of the movies. Oh, these legs. The engineering of their folding is really impressive. Listen to me talking like I know what I'm talking about. To me though, I am impressed by the craftsmanship. Whoever spent the time in designing this toy knew what they were doing in trying to make such a cool character work perfectly. High five to them. Even though there's absolutely no blue on Bluestreak. Yes, I know it's a saying, but well, kid mentality. These legs can go in absolutely any direction, and the amount of movement you can get out of the feet helps Bluestreak the best for posing. One really has to channel Cybertron with this kind of sort of F1 race car. Hiding the upper body in the giant engine spoiler was a stretch. But when you step away from the classic design, this just really is a cool looking car. I mean, come on, it does look pretty darn cool. Could you imagine actual F1 cars looking like this? I mean, do any look like this? No, I'm not gonna Google it. I'm fishing for viewer engagement. Comment with a picture of one of these cars if they exist. Mirage here was the first honest challenge in understanding how to transform his legs to and from robot form. There's really not any way to explain it. Again, once you get it, it's fine, but I'm always afraid of breaking this one. Mirage would take the moniker of the weakest in terms of assembly. His robot form, on the other hand, looks great. It's definitely slightly different than the original Mirage, but the character is certainly here, with two big-ass weapons to boot. His legs, on the other hand, with how the, well, I guess beak of the car gets tucked into the blue part of his legs, the tip of the car interferes with any attempt in setting up a cool pose with him. I have him sandwiched between Sideswipe and Bluestreak on my shelf as insurance for the inevitable fall of Mirage. The loose leg doesn't help with that either. Shortcomings aside, this incarnation is a huge improvement over the original design. Granted, that old toy had some impressive articulating arms to begin with. Now I want to know if the Cybertronian writing on the side of him is a robotic cigarette brand. I mean, Hound smoked in the movie, so... Oh god, Trailbreaker. Thank you, Hasbro, Takara Tomy, Takoni Palmyra, and everyone who knew where Trailbreaker needed an improvement. His face! Holy crap, what was up with that? Shortly in the video, I have a side-by-side to express the ridiculousness of Trailbreaker's original face. For now though, just know that he finally has a face. That being said, while I still think his legs look silly with the sweatbands, the fully posable arms and legs breathe new life into this guy. However, there's one aspect of this Trailbreaker that frustrates the hell out of me. Okay, for the old one, You could clearly see his legs folded up under in truck form. I had been a bit meh at seeing that they kept that true with the new one. In fact, I think they're even more noticeable on this new one. But this was nothing in comparison to the arms. Like, they barely tried. The fists are clearly visible. The arms do well at looking like some sort of suspension system, but no matter how you turn his fists, it still doesn't hide what you see. The immersion, man. I need my immersion. But no matter, as a robot he looks outstanding, down to the smirk on his face. Actually, I wonder, was that on purpose? Like, he's smirking because after all of these years, he has the face we had always wanted him to have, and he knows it. Well, that's about all I have to say about that. I'll let the toys speak for themselves. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and until the next, have a day.